If you've been thinking, why do I feel stuck in my life? This episode is for you. Being stuck is not a personality trait. It is a signal. And today I'm not going to hype you up and just tell you to believe in yourself because that's not helpful. We're going to learn how to look at this signal, and then you're going to walk away with an experiment that you can actually run in your life to create the momentum you need. Let's dive in.
1, 2, whoo!
Welcome to Authenticity Lab. This is the podcast for when life feels a little off and you want to feel more like yourself. I'm Dr. Kelsey Miles. I'm a musician, a songwriter, and a chemistry professor. I teach you how to think like a scientist and create like an artist. Because when life feels off, you need more than just logic. You also need a deep connection with yourself so you can build the life you actually want. Today, we're looking at, why do I feel stuck in my life? This question usually comes from when we're spiraling. So before we get into the nuts and bolts of what this is signaling from our body, I want you to first stop. If you have this question, why do I feel stuck in my life? I want you to first answer the following thing. Are you tired? Have you eaten today? Did you drink water? Did you get any sunlight in your eyes? Now, these are all physical things I'm asking for you to do because our brains love to spiral and catastrophize things when we're not feeling great. So first, I'd suggest pausing this episode, make sure, check in, have you done those things? And if you have, then let's get into it. Because until you've at least hit the threshold of the physical needs that your body has, we really can't move anywhere. So what is stuckness? Stuckness is when something in your life is not feeling in alignment. Often it comes from your body going, I need to do something about this because we've been like this for too long. Whenever I felt stuck in my life and it's been really heavy, it's coming from all the moments I ignored the feeling. And usually that's what our body and mind do when something becomes really heavy. It's because we didn't hear it the first several times. Feeling stuck in your life doesn't require you to overhaul anything, completely shift your identity, completely change your life. You don't have to do all of those things because your signal that you're listening to is just asking for you to get more clear. There's something that's out of alignment and it needs your attention. As a scientist, if I start to feel stuck in my research, what I do is I go, well, what data do I need? What information do I need to help me answer the question that I have? And in our life, when we feel stuck, we usually, me included, have moved right to self-judgment, thinking something is wrong with us, thinking that we've done quote unquote bad. We've done bad or we're wrong, and none of that helps. There's a lyric in my song, Time and Again, and I say, we were spinning in circles, thinking that we're moving forward. And it can be kind of crazy making when you feel like you're doing things in your life, but you feel stuck. It's motion without momentum. And that dissonance is what really creates that stuck feeling where you maybe are showing up to work and you're doing all the things you should be doing, yet you don't feel great. Feeling stuck in your life is as simple as you are here and you want to get there and you're not quite sure what there looks like and you have no idea how to get there. And instead of being okay with not knowing how to get there, you're judging yourself for being here. It could be grief that you just haven't felt. It could be fear that you are avoiding by just trying to be productive. And often it just requires some clarity on what exactly do you not feel in alignment with at that moment? That's going to give you the clue for the next step to take. I want to read a post that I found on Reddit because I think many of us have felt this way. So notice what you feel and think as I'm reading this. And then I'll share my reflection and we'll also look at some of the advice that was given on Reddit that is not helpful. I'm 27 years old and I did my graduation recently in engineering. But I don't understand why I'm unable to move in a positive direction from there. I'm underlining that right now. I'm doing a job that pays my bills, but nor am I happy with it, and nor does it make sense. I'm also underlining that. I don't feel like I have a bigger purpose other than surviving paycheck to paycheck. Also underlining that. I have no skills at anything. I don't have any ambition and I don't have any positive way to move into. All I have is my routine of working, eating, working out, and sleeping. I'm not complaining about the job. I think it has made me feel more comfortable and has helped me so much, but I really wish I had a bigger goal, a purpose, and a reason to get up each morning and have happiness that I'm doing something great. The second part is that everything till now in my life that I've started, I make it worse. I failed a lot of times. I'm a failure as a child, as a member of society, and in my career. Oh, I'm so sorry you feel that way. I'm a bad influence on people, and there are so many negative things that I'm so sad about. I wish I was better. I can't find a point in my life where I can just hold it, and then my life starts to lead me somewhere. A passionless failure. That's what they are, a passionless failure. Well, I disagree. And I love that they said, I want to change, help me. So let's reframe this just a little bit. In order for you to be passionless, you wouldn't have written this on Reddit. I actually see quite the opposite. I find that you are extremely passionate about your life, because if you weren't, you wouldn't be looking for ways to, find a bigger purpose than surviving paycheck to paycheck. So you are not passionless. In fact, you're quite the opposite. You are very passionate. If this person walked into my office at my university and said any of these things to me, I would first let them know, in order for you to be this aware that there are things in your life that you do not like, that you do not want to repeat, that you want to do something different, you have to have the capacity to know that there is more for you. There is more in your life that you haven't even touched. And that thought process means that you can do it. You aren't given that amount of capacity without having the tools or without life providing you the help that you need in order to get there. There's another part here where they say, I don't feel like I have a bigger purpose other than surviving paycheck to paycheck. To me, that highlights that this is a signal that your life, you have developed a life where you have your baselines down. It says that you're working, you're eating, you're working out and sleeping. Do you know how many of us struggle with even having enough sleep and going to work out? So I'm going to frame this in a way that you're already doing a lot right. That's for you, that works for you in your life. The fact that you want more, you want a bigger purpose, this is a signal. This is you out of alignment with something that you want next. Remember, we are here, we want to go there, and sometimes we don't know what there looks like. This is our brains wanting certainty. It says, I failed a lot of times. At the end of this message, this is when we really start to understand what's going on. I failed a lot of times. I'm a failure as a child, as a member of society, in my career. And I want to pause right there. When you talk about yourself as a failure, it is really difficult to see ways in which you are not. So I challenge any time that you have these words going in through your head, ask yourself, like, what's saying that? And really, what lens is that going through? That's a self-judgment lens. Self-judgment is not inherently a bad thing. Self-judgment is how we sometimes remind ourselves, I want to improve on something, but you can't let it drive the car of your life. Why don't you flip it and you say, I have ways in which I want to be a better child, a son, daughter. I have ways in which I want to be a better member of this society. Flip it. You have to flip it for yourself because you have to give yourself a way that you can move forward with it. If you get stuck in that, I'm a failure, that's what you're going to look for. One person wrote, dude, try to live out of your mind. Based on what you said, your life is based on what you have said, your life is doing okay. You just ruin it by putting too much pressure on yourself. I'm going to pause this right here. You're not ruining your life. You are putting too much pressure on yourself. So be careful with that. And at the end, they say, just trust me. Go with the flow. I don't know about you, but when someone tells me to go with the flow, that is like the worst thing for my brain to hear because it tells me to calm down. And what did I say at the beginning of the episode? When you feel stuck and it's super, super heavy like it is for this person, it's because you ignored all of the signals before. So going with the flow is going to be the worst advice for you to follow. What you need to do is get really honest with yourself without self-judgment. Without self-judgment. That's the hard part. You've gotten honest, but you have tons of self-judgment there. All right, let's read another one. Believe in yourself. Oh, goodness. I love the idea of believing in yourself. And also, do you know how hard it is to believe in yourself when you feel like a failure? There's a saying I like to tell my students, you can't get there from there. If you feel like a failure, believing in yourself feels like it is on another planet and another universe. Sure, we want to believe in ourselves. Absolutely. That's where we want to go. But you have to figure out the next small step to get closer to that. But if it feels impossible, then that's too big of a step. You can't get there from there. So if you feel like a failure, that's why I was suggesting you need to flip the words that you're using. Instead of I am a failure, you say, I don't care for how I acted as, and then be specific. The thing that you didn't care about. That's what will help you reframe it. Do you notice when you say I'm a failure, it's so vague. It's not specific. The truth is very specific. All right. So this isn't just about solving the idea about feeling like a failure. This is about how do I logically look at this and stop judging myself so I can see what's really going on in my life? What signal is actually happening? And then how do I connect with who I am? What do I like and what do I not like? The two combined, that's going to give you the next right step for you. Let's read another one. Someone wrote, everyone is a work in progress. True. This does not take away the fact that yours is important and unique. Make little improvements on things you care about every day. I love that. Now, the user who posted this said, I just don't know where to start. Everything feels like a big mess. It feels like I'll never achieve anything. I need to start in order to change that, but then where do I start? And then the loop goes on. I love that they commented back on this so we can really get clear about this. Here is what's going on. You don't know where to start, and then your self-judgment takes over, and then it tells you that you're more of a failure because you don't know where to start. It's a loop, and I love that you called that out. Again, if you can become aware of this, this means that you know that you have the capacity to move forward. A lot of advice is telling you, go do an external thing. This one said volunteer work, invest your money, quit, travel, find yourself. Go with the flow. Okay, look, if you seek external things to make yourself feel better, you can feel better for a short amount of time. And the question will still come up. What I want to understand is what is out of alignment that your body was trying to tell you. Your heart, mind, soul was giving you a signal. And that so bad feeling doesn't mean it's that big, but it means you haven't listened to it for a little while now. And so that's where I really want us to get clear and pause. So let me share this framework. It's called Calibrate, Experiment, Optimize. It's something I'll be going through every episode. To calibrate means to get really, really, really clear. Before I run a science experiment, I calibrate my instrument. You got to know where you're starting, okay? Right now, you're very clear that you're a failure. That is a calibration. That is a thought that you have had, and make it okay that you've had it. Really make it okay that you've had those thoughts. And until you make it okay that that is a thought that you've had, you can't move forward, okay? So we're making it okay. We're calibrating. So let's better understand this signal. So here's what you're going to do. As a scientist, before we try anything in the lab, We have to calibrate our instruments. So we have to get really clear on where we're at. And this stuck feeling is catastrophized kind of thought process because we're not clear. We're not clear about what exactly feels stuck. So let's calibrate. That's our first step. I want you to finish this sentence. I feel stuck because. And if you can't fill in the blank, how about this? The part I don't want to admit is. That could be another one. Let's get even more precise. The decision I'm avoiding is. See if anything comes up with these. I feel stuck because the part I don't want to admit is. The decision I keep avoiding is. If anything comes up with those, that is your hint. That is the thing we need more data on. That is the specificity we need. So now that you've written that out or thought about it, I wanted to give you a few different types of stuckness that kind of like buckets of stuckness that your stuckness might resonate with. See if any of this fits. You could feel capacity stuck, like you're depleted, or clarity stuck, like you're overloaded with options. Courage stuck, I know what I want, but I'm really scared to try to get it. Identity stuck, I've outgrown something, but I'm still trying to be who I used to be. See if one of them kind of fits for you, because this might help you then develop your experiment. So after we calibrate our instrument, now we know what we're being really specific. Get really clear on where you're at. Really clear. And notice that when we got clear, we didn't for a second judge ourselves. That is not helpful when you're trying to move forward. When you want to create momentum in your life, judging yourself, that doesn't help. But getting really honest with yourself, yes, that helps big time. So now the next step is to experiment. We're going to set up one small change you can make, one variable, one thing you can change in your life to get more data. Now this is the most important part. I find that the part that most people struggle in designing an experiment or trying something in your life, which you saw in the advice given in Reddit, is most people try to overhaul their life. Most people try to run a really big experiment. And then when that one fails, it really hits you. So I encourage you to just design a small experiment, because your trust in yourself is built one small experiment at a time. So I want you to consider, what is a small step that I can take? Now, here's where your brain will go. The person in Reddit that I just read, you're extremely smart. Whenever you have awareness like that, it's because you're extremely smart and your brain really likes to go a million miles a minute. You're going to think about this experiment, I can already tell, and you're going to go, but where do I start? I could do so many things. So you're going to take a notebook and you're going to write out every little experiment you can think of running, something you wanted to try, something little. So let me give you a few examples. So if you were feeling depleted and maybe your stuckness is like capacity, for the next 24 hours, I want you to not scroll on social media or remove something. If you're feeling like stuck, like you know you want to do something, but you don't have the courage to do it, maybe your experiment, write it out. Send one email to whoever. Ask so-and-so a question. Research this topic for 20 minutes. Seriously, these don't sound like big experiments. Write them out. Anything that comes to your mind, you're going to get as creative as possible. This experiment is small. Make it last like 20 minutes at tops, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to run the experiment. This is also where people fail. You have to now set the date. When this week are you going to run that small experiment? Alignment with yourself is built through evidence. It's built one small experiment at a time. Self-trust is built one step at a time. Every time you say you're going to do something and you do it, you will feel better. It doesn't matter what comes out of the experiment. The idea is that we're trying to understand ourselves more because you had a big old signal that said, I feel stuck in my life. I'm saying this from a place of, I get it. I have felt very stuck in my life many times in my life. I can't tell you how many times this thought has come up, but I do know that now I catch it a lot earlier. I'm able to discern that signal quickly. And the moment that I feel it, I start to get calibrated and start to think of experiments. Because what happens is we ignore those signals. You can't ignore those signals, otherwise they become big old problems in our lives and we feel really, really bad. So notice it, understand the signal, understand where it's coming from, and get some data. That's what you need. You need to understand a little bit more about your situation. And you do that by taking one small step. And so this is why I want you to not only think like a scientist, but also create a life like an artist. What does it mean to be you? The only way you're going to find out what's right for you is to run these small experiments and then ask yourself, this is the third step of my framework, is to optimize. What do I like? What do I not like? No judgment here. This is when you carry forward the insights you have from each small step. No judgment, just saying, what do I like? What do I not like? What am I moving forward with? That's how you start to create a life that feels like yours. You're not just jumping from one experiment to the next and feeling like, why is everything feeling off? So I want to leave you with this. If you're feeling stuck in your life right now, there is nothing wrong with you. I know it feels like something is, but there isn't. It's a signal. What's that signal say? Get really clear, get really specific, and design a small step. And if you want help turning these signals into actual momentum in your life, I have two things for you. One is a free gift. It's called Life Experiments. It's in the show notes below. It walks you through with short videos and a worksheet. Two, if you're someone like me that likes a group of people and accountability, I invite you to join Life Experiments Lab. We meet twice a month on Zoom. Just email me at kelsey@drkelseymiles.com. Just email me the word lab. I'll send you the details. We start in March. I want to thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode of Authenticity Lab. Remember, self-trust is built one experiment at a time. So be bold, be curious, and be you.
Yeah, that house will always call you.